been a hell of a 3 years, huh?
Yeah.
Hello, friends. We are Ben and Brandy, and you are joining us here on the Remote Ramblers channel. And today is a big day for us. After 3 years, almost 3 years, of working on our school bus and truly just busting our asses in every way possible, we're here. We're in Kaibab National Forest, just outside of Grand Canyon National Park. And this is our first time being parked on BLM land.
First time really boondocking.
First time, well, that's not really true.
It feels like it. What was our other time?
Every time we're not plugged in somewhere.
Yeah, but that's like at people's houses and stuff. This is out in nature. This is boondocking, not that.
Yeah, so this is our first time truly out in nature, and feels good.
Yeah.
It feels really good.
It's really like delayed gratification to the max because we spend a lot of time researching and building and learning more and messing up and fixing and redoing and renovating. It's like a partial build project with this bus, but also like we've lived in it over the course of time as we've been building it. And as you do that, you find out what you think might have worked and then what does actually work. And so we've been doing a lot of remodeling, even this past year and up until we left for this trip, to kind of make the bus serve our needs better. So seeing all that come to fruition and then finally using it out here has really been great.
Yeah. So if you're new to our channel, you have no context for who we are and what we're doing. So we're going to rewind a little bit and sort of walk you through our story and how we got here, and then tell you what's ahead for us, because 2024 is going to be full of a lot of really cool things for us. So let's rewind. Once upon a time in the year 2015, Ben and I met in Morocco while serving in the Peace Corps. We did our Peace Corps service. We loved it. We stayed. We stayed until
2021, and we were there for about 7.5 years, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It felt longer and shorter at times, depending on the day.
And often when we lived abroad, people would ask us, like, how long will you be here? Is this forever? How long are you staying? And we always answer, we're going to stay until it's not right, or until we're not growing, or it just doesn't feel right anymore. Then 2020 hit, and as you know, the pandemic hit. And the pandemic in Morocco was pretty wild with restrictions. Not wild in that they weren't justified or called for, but the restrictions were very restrictive.
Stringent.
And we stayed for a long time. So we stayed all of 2020. And then I guess it was in February of 2021, maybe January.
By the end of 2020, we had spent most of the year in almost total lockdown. We weren't seeing friends. We weren't seeing people. We were trying to stay safe and just be responsible. But that's hard because we really just went to the grocery store when needed and then just kind of stayed at home. We worked online. And
all the things that we loved about Morocco, we lost access to. And then my family got pretty sick with COVID. And it's hard, to live abroad and be abroad, or at any great distance, really, when you feel like your family needs you. And there was nothing really that we could do, and so we started looking at what are options and what's next. And that took us down a few different research holes and rabbit holes.
The first one was Mexico.
First one was Mexico.
We bought a course from Cal Earth Tech, I believe is the
Cal
name.
Earth Institute.
Cal Earth Institute, and it was about building super adobe homes. And super adobe homes, if you don't know, are just dirt homes made out of barbed wire and bags, and you string them together and you make little domes. It's pretty cool.
It's a lot of the same vein as adobe bricks, but they're not square. They're domes. And we love that idea. We still love that idea. But we had already been in confinement for a year. The world was still upside down. The thought of moving straight from Morocco to America, getting visas, moving to Mexico, building, it all just felt like
Too much.
And the caveat of that also is that we just didn't have the funds. In Morocco, we had pretty good jobs for what we were doing, and we had a pretty good salary for what we were doing, and we lived a very nice life in Morocco. But that same salary doesn't translate to America the same way. So we really didn't have much of a nest egg. So buying land for $40K in Mexico and building, it just wasn't super feasible at the time.
And it sort of worked out that we weren't planning before the year of COVID, 2020 to 2021, we weren't planning on leaving. And so we very much got to a point where we were just fed up. We needed to change, and we were like, we need to do this sooner than later. And so could we have saved if we had been more patient? Probably, but we didn't. And we had hit a point where it's like our family was sick, everything that we mentioned before, and we just needed to get back. We needed to do something different. So we did it. We just took the leap.
So then we started, I guess, around early February. We had researched tiny homes and vans and buses and everything under the sun, truly. And we landed on buses. We landed on a bus for a lot of reasons, but we wanted a space. We wanted to be able to travel. Ben's family's from up north, my family's from the south. We didn't really know where we wanted to be. We knew we wanted to be at the beach and at the river and at the lake and in the desert, and houses don't really do that. So we knew that vehicle life, nomadic life, was right for us. We also wanted to use this time as like a case study for learning how to build. I had some building experience, never in a vehicle, mostly on different types of constructions, eco-constructions and things like that. But this is new. And we knew we had a lot to learn. And we're like, why not practice everything we want to know for our future house in a very small, concentrated way? Yeah, so we started looking.
And I, to chip in on that conversation, had no building experience. I grew up very much like a bookworm and a video game kid, and I kind of did the opposite of a lot of like what other people in my family did in terms of just like trades and building and auto mechanics and stuff. So this was a whole new diving off the deep end experience for both me and Brandy in a lot of regards, because we've learned a lot. We're still learning a lot. There's more to learn. And that's why we did this too. We knew it'd be a long process. I remember speaking to folks in my family, and they were like, that could take years. Like, yeah, well, the years got to go by somehow. So might as well learn it. Might as well do something worth pursuing. And it's been worth pursuing.
Yeah. And we did think that this would take a lot less time than it took. What did we say originally we thought?
Like, oh, no more than a year.
No more than a year. 6 months, no more than a year. Absolutely no more than a year.
But it's kind of hard to build while you're trying to earn.
Yeah.
not having savings, I think we really didn't think about that.
Yeah. Every part of this bus has been built piecemeal as we've had money. And there's even a few things now that still aren't done. But we've been living in the bus for almost 2 years. And I think if you watch a lot of channels or a lot of like nomads, I feel like a lot of people stay in their rigs for about 2 years and then get another one. You know, they either phase out of the lifestyle or they get a different rig, or just transition to another thing, you know. But for us, we've lived in this bus so long that we've made tons of updates and changes, you know, because we have lived in our bus while building it. We have seen what works, what doesn't work. Like, we knew we loved our couch when we built it, and we were so wrong. You know, it didn't fit with what we needed. So for that, I'm really grateful. You know, there's definitely been times over this 3-year project that's just like, dear God, will it ever end? But I'm really thankful for the way that this has all sort of played out, because it really has allowed us to create a space that works for us and for what we need. Yeah.
Things take longer than you plan for a lot of times, and that's probably one of the biggest lessons here. You know, funding or projects just in general, it's like you plan and you budget, but then
Or life,
you know, it's not just, we can't spend 24/7 building the bus. You got to work, you got to see people, you got to try and maintain a semblance of sanity, all that stuff. So yeah, it's moved fast and slow. And part of the frustration with like, will this ever end, is the fact that we were kind of 100% in, which is how we do a lot of things. We were 100% committed to like, we're doing the bus, this is all we're doing. And probably not the healthiest thing, because it leads to a lot of burnout. But at the same time, it's just like something that we really care about. It's something that we're really committed to. And when that happens and those factors transpire to come together, we just go for it. And so that's part of the reason why that frustration builds up, because it's like, I want to be on the road. I want to be doing stuff. I want to be seeing stuff. I want to go to Skoolie. I want to go to meetings and meet people and have community. And I think that's probably the tougher part of this, because while we left Morocco to meet people and reconnect with our family, which we did partially, we saw our family a lot, and we're very grateful for that. We didn't have like the social aspect that I think we both need and desire. And so in that aspect, it was kind of like a continuation, where it wasn't just that 1 year, it's been this like 4-year stretch where you have connections with people online, but it's just not the same as having community or having a group of people you live by that you see every day, which is what we had before COVID hit Morocco. We had that group of people that we saw every day, we hung out with. And so that part we're grateful.
Still trying to regain.
We're trying to regain it. And we're grateful for what we had, and we're cognizant of what we lost, and we're trying to get back into that.
That kind of sums up where
we've been.
And I guess now we can sort of talk about where we're going. You know, like when we originally set out to build this bus, our plan was always to sort of travel slowly, very slowly. If we wanted to travel really quickly and stay at different places every night and move like that, we would have gotten a van. But we didn't. We got a big bus because we wanted to travel slowly, and we wanted to really experience places, and we wanted to be able to park in a location and learn about it, and also be at home.
And be comfortable, because it was our first time ever downsizing to live in a tiny house, and we didn't know what that was going to be, so we were like, probably the bigger the better.
And when we originally started building, the plan was to just take off in a direction, find a place, spend 2 weeks there, find another place, spend 2 weeks there, find interesting stories to tell at these different places, and share that with you all. And another intention of living on the road was to find a place that we could build. We could sort of build and shape into our dream oasis. I don't know if we're homesteaders. Are we in the homesteader crew?
We may be.
We may be, but I'm not really picturing a homestead. I'm picturing a place where people can come and find themselves and find each other and have real conversations.
We are either homesteaders potentially, or commune builders, or both. Probably both.
Commune builders.
A friendly commune, not like
I don't know if commune is the right word.
community.
Yeah, but building a community and building a role that Ben and I have found ourselves in many places that we've lived is like a host home or a place where people can come and feel safe and feel protected and get back to themselves. And we really love that. We love creating safe spaces for people to be and for people to feel comfortable and feel loved. And so my mind for when we were traveling was to find this place. And that all seems really ambitious when you have very little money. But that has always sort of been the trajectory that we were looking to head down. And was it 2 years ago that Sorsha?
Mm-hmm.
So 2 years ago, I was talking to a friend of mine. Her name is Sorsha. And we met Sorsha through an online Facebook group when she and her husband were traveling to Morocco. And she was needing something made by some artisans. And I said, oh, hey, I live here. I can help you. I work with artisans pretty frequently. And it just worked out. And we met. That was probably 5 years ago now. And we met and we became friends. And they were traveling around the world at that time. And we were in Morocco. But we just sort of like stayed friends. And 2 years ago, I was having a really sort of down time. Coming back to the U.S. was really hard in a lot of ways. And I was really depressed. And I was talking to my friend Sorsha, and she said, well, what do you want to be doing? What do you want? And I told her, you know, I want to find a place where we can create a safe haven for people to be with themselves and be in nature and to just be. And we started talking about glamping and what that would look like, and, you know, how could we build tiny homes, or how can we sort of build this community? And we started looking. We seriously started looking. Where all did that take us?
Well, it took us to Portland first. And just to backtrack a little bit, when Brandy was talking about it was hard for her to come to the United States, previously she had lived most of her teenage years, young adult years, all overseas in various places for like well over a decade. And so that long of a time away, you lose a lot of like where you grew up. And when you come back, it is a hard reverse culture shock moment. So that combined with everything else is just a lot. But to get back into the flow of conversation about the glamping, we flew out to Portland first. Sorsha and Matt were amazing hosts, and we were like, all right, let's plan. Let's figure out how we're going to do this. So the initial thought was, Sorsha and Matt were like, yes, we're going to revamp our house. You guys are going to help us. We're going to sell it, take the proceeds from that, put it into land where we can build a glamping site.
Yeah.
So we spent like 5-6 days, something like that, just doing home renovation projects, painting.
It was like a full-on HGTV show.
Yeah, it
we
was.
fly from Chicago to Portland to renovate a house in 1 week.
Reinstalling new sinks, updating appliances, cleaning things up, doing the outdoor zhuzh.
It was a blast.
Yeah, it was a really good time. So we did that. At the end of that week, we're like, all right, here we go. We're going to list the house. In the meantime, Brandon and I flew back to Northern Illinois. And then we drove down to Kentucky. And from there, we went to Tennessee. And we went to Tennessee for both seeing Brandy's family who lives there and looking at property. And so we drove around looking at different property. We found a couple that we really liked.
We were originally looking around Nashville area, and we saw several properties that had some potential, but it wasn't right.
No.
And it wasn't the right time.
And we all kind of agreed on that after a lot of searching, a lot of looking, a lot of planning, a lot of researching, and just discussion. So we tabled it. We're like, all right, we
want to come back to this.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, we're still building the bus. You guys are still doing your thing. We're going to keep building, keep pushing in the direction we were already moving in. And we'll revisit this.
And right around this time, we had transitioned out of our previous jobs, which was teaching English online primarily to overseas students. And we were really burnt out on that. We were kind of in limbo in between jobs. So after this glamping thing didn't work out, we both picked up online jobs, working remote, did that for a while, continued to do that, started trying to save, and also just keep building our bus as best we could.
Mm-hmm.
And that took most of about a year.
And then May 2nd, 2023, we left Illinois. We've been keeping a secret. We told you a million times that we were leaving and we were going to leave, and so we've been quiet because a lot's been going on. But we just left. And we are headed to our first stop. We are leaving Illinois, headed to Kentucky. We'll spend a few weeks there, and then we don't know. So it's been a long time coming, 2 years, and we don't really know how we feel yet. This is a crazy feeling. So we had been building the bus out in Northern Illinois, where Ben's from, based out of his parents' house.
For 2 years at that point. It was May 2021 until May 2023.
Yeah, Ben's parents were angels for letting us stay that long and for just loving us and supporting us through the most of our building process. We couldn't have done it truly without that hospitality and that space. In May of 2023, we shoved off. And we did a lot of bouncing around. We'd spent a lot of time with Ben's family, Kentucky, Tennessee, to spend some time with my family.
Kayaking on Old Hickory. I'm talking about.
We spent a lot of time in Western Kentucky with my family who has a farm out there. We planned to be there for 2 weeks, and we ended up being there for almost 6 months. And it was such a unexpected blessing. And I think that's one of the reasons we really love the bus, is because we get to choose where to spend our time, and most people don't have that privilege of choosing where to spend their time. And that for us is really important. So we got to spend a ton of time in Kentucky, and we did some projects there, but we also just spent time with family and all kinds of shenanigans. And then in November, early November, my friend Sorsha called again. And she said, I think we should pull the glamping idea back on the table because we may have an investor, and I need you to get together a mood board. So that's what we did. So early November, we threw together a mood board of what our sort of dream haven would look like. And they sort of ran with it, and discussions developed, and
Meetings were had.
and plans were made, and Excel sheets, so many spreadsheets. And then it just kind of grew into this thing that really looked like it was going to happen. And so there was a lot going on for us. And so we just, over the Christmas season, spent a lot of time with family and ended up renovating like half of the inside of our bus. And then when did we official?
January, some point in January 2024.
Yeah, so I think it was like mid-January maybe.
Yeah.
We decided to move forward with building a glamping retreat center. And it's definitely not in Tennessee or Kentucky. In fact, it is all the way out in Oregon, which meant that we had about 3 weeks from the time of saying, yeah, we're in, to hitting the road and heading out to Oregon.
We tried to give ourselves more of a buffer time. I think initially it was like 4 weeks, 5 weeks. We're like, okay.
Yeah.
But things happen.
Life lifed.
Yep. And we had some accidents in the family, and we were trying to pitch in and help out where we could on the recovery process there. So that pushed our timeline back a little bit, and really just led to a culmination to crazy.
A whirlwind.
Leading up to us leaving, because we were doing what we can to chip into the recovery process for some of Brandy's family members, working, redoing the bus. I don't know what else. It just felt like we were doing everything.
Yeah. And also just like re-downsizing and figuring out, if we're moving across the country, what do we need to make sure we have with us? And that's a little more difficult. We own a small business, and so we carry a lot of leather goods with us. We are still building, so we're carrying a lot of construction materials with us. There's just
lots of stuff.
This is not us going on a 1 week trip somewhere or going to visit family and having a place to park. We're moving.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not exactly sure how long we'll be gone. So there was a lot to do. But we did it. Y'all, we did it. And now we're here in the Kaibab Forest.
I'd say we're about like maybe more about 50% done with our trip.
Mm.
I was going to say 60, but really we're kind of at the halfway point, because we've traveled about 20-ish hours, maybe a little bit more, maybe 25-ish from where we left out and set out in Kentucky. We left from the family farm in western Kentucky, and instead of going through the Sierra Nevadas to get to Oregon, it's February. We didn't want to deal with snow in this thing. We didn't want to deal with mountain passes for sure, especially snowy mountain passes. So instead of going straight across, we decided to do a little U-shaped travel direction to go from Kentucky to Oregon. And so we're at the Grand Canyon now near Flagstaff, Arizona. And our next waypoint is Vegas. After that, we're going to Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
Shooting straight up Nevada to go to Oregon. And yeah, I mean, we're excited. It still feels kind of surreal, to be honest, which is, I think, is why I'm stumbling over my words a bit. But like, it's just been such a whirlwind, and we're grateful for it. We're excited. We're a whole mixed bag of emotions.
Yeah. In October, I lost my job, and it was really hard for me. I put a lot of stock in my work and tie a lot of value to my work, which I'm sure a lot of you do. And to lose my job unexpectedly, even with an organization that I didn't really like, it was hard. It was really, really hard. And in October, I couldn't have imagined
being here.
I couldn't have imagined this. And I'm so thankful that this is where we are right now.
We had gotten to a place where we were just used to things falling through, and not just from the past few years. I think just over the course of our respective lives, both before meeting and afterwards, you just get set up for more disappointments and half glass full or half glass empty, I should say. But regardless of the metaphor, it's really easy to get used to not achieving the things that you want, or getting used to doing the things that you want, especially when you're struggling financially, or you're like always working and grinding and trying to make a living out of something. And so I think for this to all come together was really just a big moment for us. And you've never done it before and you've never had a moment like that before, and it just seemed like one of those special opportunities that only come around a couple times in a lifetime. And so we're just so grateful for that.
And that being said, our plans have changed. Like, we're still going to be traveling. We're definitely still going to be living in the bus. The bus is partially why we have the opportunity to do this, because where we're going, it's not like there's a place for us to stay, so we won't be traveling full time. We will be traveling seasonally currently based on our work. When we get to Oregon, we'll be building this amazing space, which both of us are just ecstatic about. We'll be there managing it for the season. And then next winter, late fall, winter, we'll be taking off again in the bus. This isn't exactly what we imagined, but I think it's exactly what we need and what we've been pushing toward. All that being said, this is a lot of information to dump on you, and you may not care, but I think that we also just want to encourage people to
go for what you want.
Yeah.
And it may not work out like you envisioned the first time, the second time, the fifth time, the 20th time.
And it may take you 3 years when you thought it would take 6 months. And that's okay. Because as long as you continue to show up, what you're pushing toward will happen. It takes a lot of faith. It takes a lot of...
And a lot of sacrifice.
Sacrifice and self-belief and commitment to the cause and so many other things. Like, if you are working towards something and it feels like it's not happening, just keep showing up, because you don't know how it's going to appear in your life.
If you know it's what you want, and if you know it's what you need, then go for it.
Yeah. And that being said, thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up in our comments. Thank you for continuing to watching our videos when we haven't been posting regularly.
And this is something that we want to do and we want to show up for.
Yeah.
It's just, we've had so many stop-starts and so many struggles that sometimes it's hard to really go for that extra step where it's like, I don't know if I have the energy to do this, or I don't know if my head's in the right place, or whatever kind of limiting belief that you want to throw at. It's very easy for those to build up.
Yeah.
But we want to show up for this.
We absolutely do. Yeah, we want to show up for this. We want to show up for ourselves. We want to show up for you, our community, and we plan to. So we're going to sort of show you the whole business of us traveling, of us getting to where we're going, us building really our dream business, and then just kind of bring you along for the ride.
2024 is going to be a big year. It's February 2024 right now. We expect to get to Oregon early March 2024. It's our first giant cross-country trip in the bus, and knock on wood, everything's been going great so far except for a few hiccups, and you're always going to have a few hiccups no matter what you're doing. And it's our first time, I think, really investing in ourselves in a way. Not just this year, but, investing in ourselves and believing in ourselves to do this crazy thing by building a bus into a house that we've never done before. First time investing in doing this glamping business. First time going across country. Brandy's never seen the West. I've only been out here once. A lot of firsts. And I hope this year brings you a lot of firsts as well that push you in the direction of what you want.
So if you are in any way interested in bus life, nomadic living, tiny living, building your dream business, glamping, living off-grid, there will be so many different things on this channel. And if any of those topics interest you, let us know. Tell us in the comments what you want to see from us. Let us know how we can support you in your dreams too. And like this video, so that way we know you're here. Subscribe, so that way you're a part of the community. And hit the notification bell, so that way you'll be notified every time we upload a video.
And support us as we enter our creative era, which is 2024.
Yes, we are going to be putting out so much content. And we are so excited. I think for a long time of the build, it was really hard to create, because we were creating in so many ways. Building something like this requires so much creative energy that then to film and edit while also trying to make the money to fund everything, it wore on us. And I think both of us are really getting to a place where we're excited to create again in this way.
And lack of inspiration, because we were tired of filming build content. It just felt like we kept defaulting into DIY build this thing.
DIY tutorials.
Stop trying to do this. We don't want to do tutorials. We want to film stuff outdoors and stuff that we can't be doing. And so there was a real creative wall that we hit. And I think this year will bring the opposite of that, just based on what we're doing and where we're going. And we're excited, and we hope you are too.
Yeah. Thanks for being here.